Hello and welcome to this video on the disassembly, cleaning and reassembly of the Rotax Max Evo carburetor. You have to first of all remove it from the cart by removing the fuel line, the throttle slide assembly up here, and then from both the flanges on the engine and the airbox side. Once you've got it off the cart, make sure you don't tip it upside down, as it's still going to have fuel in the bowl. Take it over to your fuel tank or fuel can and drain it out through the overflow pipe. It's by turning it upside down, maybe one or two times, and that'll clear it out with the majority of the fuel. Right, first we'll flip it upside down. This is how I like to work on it, and I see most people work on them. And with a 4mm T-bar or a 4mm Allen bit, removing the 3 screws that hold on the fuel bowl, float bowl, or whatever you want to call it. Like so. Cool. So once that's off, screws to the side, give that a nice good clean out with some throttle, body and carby cleaner. Remove your floats. Now key with this is obviously upside down at the moment. On the top here, maybe you can see that, we've got alto written on the floats. So alto is up, and I believe it's in Italian. They sit in that orientation in the fuel bowl itself. Next is going to be removing the jets. So take your flat blade screwdriver and being careful placing it into the notch in here so you don't mar the edges. This one has a couple on some of the edges, but you don't want to be blocking, scraping or making anything hanging in the way of where the fuel is going to be flowing through these. So first, I believe this one is called, we'll start with the main jet here first. Let's remove that. Next is going to be, I believe this one is the idle jet. And then I believe this one is the emulsion tube. Right, cool. So once those are out, move around the side, and we've got the idle air screw. This will come out with a spring. Make sure that comes out with it. Next up here is the carby fuel filter. So there's a fuel filter on the fuel line as well, and then a secondary one here in the carburetor. And this is a 13mm socket. These are all loosened off anyway, but these will be done up a bit tighter when we reassemble. So that's a fuel filter there. It's pretty crucial to keep this thing clean, as any blockage in here is going to slow down the flow of fuel into your carb. Right, once it's all disassembled, well, this is just the basic disassembly. I'm going to spray in inlets, outlets, tops, bottom, any part where the jets go, and through there with the throttle body and carby cleaner. Now give it a really good dousing, and I give it a bit of a shake around, swirl it around a wee bit, and then try and shake most of it out, and then let it dry out properly overnight. Handy little thing I do here with the jets. Let's place them into the end, like this, and then spray through. So do that with all of them, and then it gives the jets a nice good clear out on the inside of them as well. Alright, now for reassembly, let's go in the opposite order again. So start off with the fuel filter, which is just below the fuel inlet. Get that started, and then nip it down. So not over tightening it, just giving it a good tighten so it won't come loose. Next is the idle air screw with that little spring. Place that in, your flat blade, and turn it all the way in until it stops. Now I haven't done too much tuning with this sort of stuff, but from what I've been told, what I've read, and people have recommended, is screw it until it stops, and give it 3 half turns backwards for 1.5 full turns. Alright, once we've done that, we're ready to start putting our jets back in. So they go in the opposite order, as this little cap thing here on the main jet blocks the others when you're putting them in. So first we start with the emulsion jet. Remember to be careful with your screwdriver. Idle jet. And your main jet. That are tight. Right, next will be the floats going in. So this is how the float bowl is going to sit is when the carb's on the cart. So remember that alto is up. When it's in the cart here, this will sit in this orientation here. As the fuel level rises, it will then actuate the float bowl arms, as you hopefully can see there. Right, so this will go together. It's be a little tricky to get it over this little cap. And we're in. Put your screws back in. Now, as I'm pretty new to this, I scoured the internet, obviously before taking this apart for the first time, and I ran into a few issues as the videos I watched showed you enough to do it, but I don't believe I had enough information to do it correctly, and this is where I ran into some problems with the fuel flow issues. Just tighten this back up. Right, so I was told by the person I bought the cart off, as I've never had a Rotax and never really messed with carburetors before, that they need to shake. They need to rattle, make a noise when you shake them round. So I told him what was going on. He said, does the carb rattle? I said, yes, it does rattle, as it did make a slight rattle, but not like this. So what I need to show you here, and so you can understand, is the noise that it makes when it rattles. This is the correct orientation. You can just hear it by rattling them. So they make a substantial rattle. The rattle they make when the cart floats are upside down, you can still hear it, but it's nowhere near as audible as that. So that's the main thing I wanted to show in this video as well, was once you're assembled, the sound it should make as well. As I was told that, but nowhere on the internet could I find a video or a sound clip or anything of the noise it's meant to make. Right, so once you're done with that, it should go back onto the cart, flange, airbox, fuel line, and your throttle slide assembly, and then you're good to go.